Darkness. Then, light. Bright, sharp, cold light. John opened his eyes slowly. His head hurt. His body felt heavy, like he was underwater. He tried to move his arms, but they didn't move. Something held him down. Thick metal bands were around his wrists and ankles. He wasn't in his bed. He wasn't even on Earth. The room was made of shiny metal. Strange blue lights blinked on the walls. It looked like a spaceship, a real one, not a movie set. Panic hit him hard. Where am I? Who brought me here? He tried to speak, but his voice was dry and weak. No one answered. Then he heard sounds, footsteps. Not human footsteps. They were too heavy, too slow. Something big was coming. The door opened with a soft hiss. Two creatures walked in. They were tall, taller than any human. Their skin was dark purple and smooth, like rubber. They had 4 eyes, sharp teeth, and wore black armor. They looked at John like he was a thing. One of them spoke. The voice was deep, and the language was strange. But somehow John understood it. So small, one said. But the Empress will like this one. She collects rare pets. John's heart jumped. Pets? Were they talking about him? He stayed quiet. He didn't want them to know he understood. Maybe that was his only chance. They pushed a button on the wall. The metal bands opened, and a strong net dropped on him. The creatures picked him up like he weighed nothing and carried him down a long hallway. The hallway was filled with other creatures in cages. Some looked like animals, others looked half human, half something else. All of them stared at John as he passed. He wanted to scream, to run, but he couldn't. He was weak. He was trapped. They entered a large room, like a throne room. Everything was golden. Big windows showed stars outside. Floating lights moved slowly around the ceiling. At the center of the room sat a tall figure on a high throne. She was beautiful, but not human. Her skin was silver and smooth like metal. Her eyes were bright gold. She wore a long purple robe and a glowing crown. The guards bowed and spoke. "Great Empress, we bring you a gift. A creature from the blue planet." The Empress stood and walked down the steps slowly. Her golden eyes stared at John. She smiled. "He's adorable," she said in a soft, cold voice. "So rare, so perfect. I'll keep him close." She touched John's cheek gently, like he was a kitten. He didn't move. "Does it speak?" she asked. "No, my Empress," the guard said. "It makes strange sounds, not intelligent." "Good," she said. "I don't like noisy pets." John kept his face blank. He wanted to punch them, but he didn't. Not yet. The Empress turned to her servant. "Prepare a room for him, clean him, feed him. I want him beside me tomorrow." As the guards carried John away again, he heard her whisper something very quiet to her advisor. "If this pet ever misbehaves, kill it, quickly." John's blood ran cold. They put him in a clean white room with soft lights and warm air. There was a bed, food, water, and a collar with a small glowing tag, like a real pet. John sat on the bed, silent. His mind was racing. "She thinks I'm just an animal. That I don't understand. That I can't talk." He looked at the collar. It had a symbol on it. He had seen that symbol on the guard's armor. He was now part of the Empress's collection. He drank the water, ate the food, and waited. He had to stay calm. He had to be smart. They would never expect a pet to be dangerous. They would never expect a human to understand. He smiled just a little, not because he liked this, but because he now had something they didn't, a secret, and secrets are powerful. Asterisk. The Empress was laughing, not loudly, not kindly. It was the quiet, strange laugh of someone who owned everything, including him. John sat on a soft cushion beside her throne. Around him were golden statues, glowing plants, and silent guards. Alien music played in the background, slow, haunting notes that made his skin crawl. The Empress leaned down and ran her long silver fingers through his hair. "Look at this fur. she said, so soft, so clean, I could keep him forever. John didn't flinch. He didn't blink. He stared at the floor like a dumb animal, but inside, he was watching everything. She took him everywhere now. To her private garden, where the trees glowed blue. To her bath chamber, where water floated in the air. To royal dinners where monsters in fine robes bowed to her and spoke of power, war, and betrayal. They said everything in front of him. Plans, secrets, lies, because they still believed he was just a pet, just a dumb earth creature with no brain. They didn't know he was listening. They didn't know he was learning. One night, he sat beside her in a huge hall. The Empress was drinking golden liquid from a crystal cup. The room was full of important aliens, generals, lords, and old rulers from other star systems. They were talking politics. But one voice caught John's attention. A tall alien in dark red robes leaned close to the Empress and whispered, "You should be careful. There are those who say you've grown." Soft, the Empress smiled calmly. "Let them speak." She sipped her drink. "Words are wind. I fear no traitor." But John saw something in her eyes, just for a moment. Fear. The red-robed alien walked away. And then John heard two guards near the wall whispering, thinking no one was listening. "The plan is tomorrow night," one said. "During the moonlight feast. Kill her and leave the pet covered in blood." John froze. He kept his face still, but his heart started beating faster. They were going to kill the Empress and blame it on him. That night, John lay on a soft silk bed in a room full of alien flowers. The air smelled sweet. There was soft music playing from somewhere. The Empress had told him, before leaving, "Sleep well, little one. Tomorrow is the big feast. I want you to sit beside me, dressed in gold." John stared at the ceiling. He didn't like her. He didn't trust her, but she hadn't killed him. She had saved him from the auction. She treated him like a prize. Not like food. Now, someone wanted her dead. And they would use him to do it. He had a choice. Run. Or do something. The next morning, he tested something new. He picked up a small fork from the food tray and began to hide it under his pillow. A cleaning drone flew over, scanned the room, and didn't notice. Good. They still think I'm harmless. He explored the halls near his room when no one was watching. He found a storage door with a broken lock. Inside were old tools, broken machines, and a map, a digital map of the palace. He memorized the exits, the guard towers, the hidden rooms. If something went wrong at the feast, he needed a way out, or a way to strike back. That night, just before the feast, the Empress's personal servant came to dress him. The servant placed a golden cloth over John's shoulders and smiled. "You are the Empress's favorite. Lucky little beast." John didn't smile back. He was thinking about the guard's words. Kill her tomorrow. Blame it on the pet. The feast was held in a garden under the stars. Floating lanterns lit the sky. Alien nobles sat at crystal tables. Strange foods shimmered on golden plates. John sat beside the Empress, quiet, still, watching. Then he saw it. A movement. A shadow behind a statue. A flash of silver. A hand hiding something sharp. It started with a smile. The Empress was smiling, lifting her golden cup as music played through the garden. But John saw something behind that smile. He saw fear. She didn't know it yet. That her death was hiding just 10 steps away. He saw the shadow move again. It wasn't a mistake. Something sharp glinted behind the tall moonblossom plant near her throne. A hand was there. A weapon, waiting. He couldn't speak. Couldn't warn her. If he said anything, the game would be over. They'd know he understood. And the next body would be his. He reached slowly for his spoon. The golden one. The one sharp enough to scratch his skin last night. He gripped it tight. Under the table, his eyes flicked to the guard near the Empress's side. That guard wasn't there yesterday. Too tall. Too still. A fake. The music changed low and slow, like a final song. The moment was coming. The Empress turned to John, smiling, and whispered, "Stay close, little one. Something feels strange tonight." John's heart pounded. She knows. But not enough. She didn't know the blade was already drawn. Suddenly, the fake guard moved. Fast, silent. He reached under his robe and John exploded into action. He leapt from the throne steps and slammed into the guard's knees with all his weight. The alien stumbled, falling forward, knife dropping onto the stone floor. Guards rushed in, shouting. The crowd screamed. The Empress stood tall, eyes wide, heart racing, but alive. John backed away as two guards tackled the fake. The Empress looked at him in shock, not fear, not anger. Something else. Curiosity. Later, in the throne room, the Empress sat alone. No music. No lights. Just silence. And John, on the floor beside her throne, breathing quietly. She looked at him for a long time, then said in a whisper, "How did you know?" John blinked, stayed quiet. "You jumped before anyone saw the blade, before the guards moved." She stood and slowly walked around him. "You're not like the others." She knelt beside him. "Do you understand me?" John stared at the floor, didn't move, didn't speak. She sighed. "Maybe I'm imagining things." She stood and walked away, but behind her throne, hidden in the shadow, a small recording drone hovered silently, watching him. That night, in a secret lab deep in the ship, a scientist studied the drone's data. He froze the footage, zoomed in, ran the voice analysis, then stared at the screen, pale and shaking. He ran to the comm panel and whispered into the mic, "My Empress, you need to see this, immediately." Back in his room, John sat on the floor. He held the golden spoon in his hand. Tomorrow, they'd question him. Tomorrow, maybe they'd kill him. But tonight, he was still alive. He had stopped an assassin. He had saved the most powerful being in the galaxy. And no one knew who he really was. Yet. Asterisk. They called him a hero. But he was still in a cage. A golden cage, yes, with soft pillows and sweet food. But a cage is still a cage. John sat in silence as hundreds of alien screens showed his face, his leap, his strike, his tackle. Pet saves Empress from death. Dumb beast or royal guardian? The galaxy's most loyal creature? They didn't know the truth. He wasn't a dumb beast. He was listening, learning, planning. Every second, the Empress stood before the palace crowd. Her voice echoed through the hall as floating cameras hovered in the air. "This little one saved my life. He may not speak. He may not understand. But he acted. And that makes him more noble than many of you." The crowd cheered. John kept his face blank. He was still pretending, still surviving. But not everyone was clapping. In a far-off chamber, a rich alien king crushed a glass in his clawed hand as he watched the news. "She thinks that Earth animal matters," he growled. "She thinks she's safe now." His servant stood beside him, nervous. "Should we offer a trade?" The king smiled, a dark, slow smile. "No, we'll offer a gift." The next day, a giant ship appeared above the royal palace. Black, sharp, silent. It blocked the sunlight. Then, a huge box was delivered to the throne room, wrapped in gold, sealed with a red mark. The king's voice came through a speaker. "To honor your brave pet. A gift from my house to yours." The Empress looked confused. "I did not ask for this," she said. "Open it," said one of her advisors. "It may be useful." John sat nearby, staring at the box. Something was wrong. The box was too quiet. Too cold. A servant stepped forward to cut the seal. Boom. The box exploded in smoke and flashing lights. Screamed. Chaos. Three dark figures jumped out of the smoke, armed and fast. They charged toward the Empress. John didn't wait. He grabbed a tray from the table, threw it like a disc. It hit the first attacker in the face. He rolled across the floor, ducked under a table, and tripped the second attacker with a chair leg. The third one raised a plasma knife, but John grabbed a guard's stun rod and jabbed it straight into the alien's chest. The alien dropped like a rock. The smoke cleared, and there he was. John, still standing, still silent, surrounded by defeated enemies. The Empress stared at him like she was seeing him for the first time, not as a pet, not as a toy, but as something else. A weapon, a guardian, something dangerous. Later that night, in the private chamber, the Empress stood over a small silver desk. A tiny screen showed data from her scientist. Scan complete, it said. Species, human. Cognitive level, high. Language comprehension, confirmed. She leaned back in her chair and whispered, "So, you do understand." She looked at the camera screen, watching him sleep peacefully, or pretending to. The dream was fake. John saw Earth. Green trees. His sister laughing. The sound of rain. Then he woke up to metal walls, cold air, and glowing chains. His room had changed. Everything soft was gone. A voice echoed from above. "He's not just a pet, he's human." Another voice, softer. "And he's been lying to the Empress." John didn't move. He knew they were watching. He also knew they were afraid now. That morning, the Empress did not smile. She didn't touch his hair. Didn't call him cute or sweet creature. She only said one thing: "Follow me." He did, through golden halls, past silent guards, into a room full of stars, her private chamber. No cameras, no guards, only her and him. She sat on a silver chair, looked him in the eyes. "How long?" John didn't speak. "You understand, Emny, don't you?" Still silence, but his fingers curled, just slightly. She noticed. She stood and walked toward a cabinet, opened it, pulled out something small, a silver cube. She pressed a button. A projection lit the air. His brain scan. His language. File. His Earth identity. There was no more hiding. "You lied," she whispered. "You tricked me, watched me, heard everything." John finally spoke, his first words to her, quiet, careful. "You would have killed me if I told the truth." The Empress didn't blink. "I still might." Silence filled the room like poison gas. Then she sighed. "You saved me twice. That's the only reason you're still breathing." She turned her back. "I should sell you to the highest bidder." John stepped forward. "You do that, you'll be dead in a week." A cold wind passed between them. She turned slowly. "Why?" He looked her in the eyes. "Because your enemies aren't done." That night, another gift arrived. Smaller than before. A black box. No message. No signature. Just one word carved into it. Truth. The Empress hesitated. John stepped in front of her. "Let me open it." She allowed it. He lifted the lid slowly. Inside was not a bomb, not a weapon, but something worse. A collar, the same kind he wore when he first arrived, and under it, a tiny note written in ancient alien script. "Put the beast back in its cage, or we will." The Empress closed the box. Her face was stone, her voice a whisper of thunder. "They think they can scare me with chains?" She turned to John. "You want to prove you're more than a pet?" He nodded once. "Then help me burn their empire to the ground." That night, in the palace shadows, John broke into the armory. No guards stopped him. He was still just a pet to most of them. He took nothing fancy, just tools. Scanners, maps. He studied the palace, every hidden hall, every escape route, every traitor's face. For the first time since he was taken from Earth. He wasn't hiding anymore. He was preparing. Asterisk. She held the weapon to his chest, not shaking, not afraid. Cold, calm, royal. The Empress stood just inches from John. Her eyes were glowing gold, but there was no warmth in them now. "Speak. How long have you been lying to me?" John looked down at the glowing blade near his heart. Then up at her. "Since the first day." It was the first time they were truly alone. No guards. No cameras, no golden lies. Only a human. And a ruler who might kill him. She walked around him. Slowly, blade still in hand. I trusted you. I fed you. Dressed you in gold. Let you sleep beside my throne. He nodded. And your own guards planned your murder. She froze. His words hit like fire. He took a step forward. You think I'm the problem? Your own people planted a knife under your seat. I saw it. I stopped it. The Empress lowered the blade, just a little. Why didn't you say something? Would you have listened to a pet? Silence. She turned away, back straight, voice sharp. The galaxy thinks you're mine. A quiet little creature I saved. Now I find out you're smarter than half my court. She looked over her shoulder. What are you really, John of Earth? He stepped forward, slow and steady. A survivor. A man who listened when no one else did. And the only one in this palace who actually cares if you live or die. A long silence. Then she laughed. Soft. Tired. Not cruel this time. Real. She placed the weapon down. The court will call you a trickster, a spy, a threat. They'll want your head on a spike. John didn't move. Then use me before they do. That night, they made a plan. Not in the throne room. Not in public. But deep underground, in a hidden chamber used during wartime. Old maps glowed on the walls. Spy records flickered across the air. Names, dates, betrayals. John stood beside the Empress. Not as a pet, not as a slave, but as an equal, a partner. She pointed to the traitors. Network. They've been watching me for years, waiting for weakness. John pointed to a shipment route. Strike here. Cut their supply. Starve them before they move. The Empress looked at him with new eyes. Not pity. Not pride. Respect. Later, in the quiet of her chamber, she looked out at the stars and whispered, maybe I didn't find a pet. Maybe I found a weapon. John, standing behind her, replied, or maybe you found a friend. But far away, in the dark space between stars, a fleet was moving, silent, deadly, coming fast. The traitors were ready, and they weren't coming to make peace. He stood in silence, while an empire burned behind him. Ash rained down from the sky. Smoke curled through the stars like black rivers. And in the middle of it all, John, once called a pet, looked up at the Empress and said, I told you. They were never ready for me. 3 hours earlier, the throne room was full. Guards, advisors, generals, even enemies dressed as friends. The Empress sat high on her golden seat, her face calm, but her hand tapped the armrest. One beat at a time. Tick, tick. John stood at her side. No collar. No chains. Dressed not in silk, but in armor. Alien eyes watched him with hate. He didn't care. He wasn't here to be liked. He was here to end it. The Empress spoke first. To those who said he was a danger, congratulations. She pointed to John. He's now your problem. A general stepped forward. He's a liar, a spy, a manipulator. John smiled. And still, I saved your Empress, twice. Another alien shouted, you're just a creature from a backwater planet. John walked forward slowly, his voice calm. Maybe, but your smartest minds couldn't stop me from learning your language, hacking your systems, or stealing your war codes. Gasps. Whispers. Fear. He dropped a small device on the floor. A hologram lit up. War plans. Secret. Meetings. Names of traitors. All recorded. All traced back to the one standing right there. Chaos broke loose. Guards drew weapons. The Empress stood fast. No one fires unless I say so. But the traitors didn't wait. They came with hidden tech. Invisible blades. Plasma bombs. The palace shook. And then John moved. He didn't run. He charged straight into the middle of the chaos. He used their weapons against them. He used their fear against them. One by one, they fell. He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the fastest. But he was the most dangerous. Because he was human. And he refused to die quietly. When the dust cleared, John stood above the fallen leaders, not bleeding, not broken, alive, and changed. The Empress walked to him, her voice soft. "You're not my pet." John smiled. "I never was." She nodded. "Then what are you?" He looked at the galaxy outside the shattered windows. "I'm the beginning of something new." That night, the Empress made a declaration. Before 1,000 star systems, she stood beside the human and said, "This man came from a small world with no power, no weapons, no empire. And yet, he changed everything. He is no longer my pet. He is my advisor, my protector, my equal." And far away, on a blue planet called Earth, a signal was sent. A voice crackled through deep space. "To anyone listening, humans are out here now. We're smaller, we're weaker, but we're watching, and we never forget."